Night of the Living podcast is always ad-free for patrons at patreon.com/NOTLP.
Hey everybody, it's Staff Picks. I hope you like me because it's a lot of me this episode.
It's an all Friday.
Double dipping.
Omelet.
Now's your chance to leave.
2 scoops.
I'm going to be talking about a movie called Allegoria for Roulette, and it's my staff pick, which was Major League.
Woo!
Which is a movie that we were just discussing before we started recording. Very much of its time. We're going to get into all the nitty gritty of what works still and what doesn't, and how our opinions on that vary and differ.
Let's get into it.
We just did Origins.
Yeah, we did.
Andy,
We did.
Listened to a feedback episode from 2012.
And boy, it sounds like it was very controversial. You guys should definitely make sure you sign up for patronage
to get that controversy.
Grab it.
That's patreon.com/NOTLP.
I'm just kidding. There was no controversy.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Or was there?
Or was there? You will know now. It's a cliffhanger.
Or was there?
It's not really a cliffhanger.
No, not really.
Poor Cliff.
Just hanging. We got to play games together the other night.
It was surfing.
It was a good time.
gathered?
Elisa's back at our place playing the pigeon game right now.
Is she headbangers?
Headbangers.
I bought the game on Sunday too because it was so fun.
It is so much fun. It was a game that when you have Game Pass on Xbox, you get certain games like it works like Netflix where they rotate them out and you play them for free. And that one, I got it because it was a rhythm game, and Amy was talking about wanting to play Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like that, or Parappa the Rappa.
Oh my gosh.
It's fun, but it's very frustrating too.
Yeah. It's some tough games.
You think you're a person with some skills, some things that you can do. And then you play a game like that and you're like, how do I feed myself?
I mean, thank God the pigeons are cute. That's the only thing that's keeping me hanging on and not keeping me from throwing my controller at the screen.
Do you tell yourself that part of it is that you're like, no one could be that good at this, maybe?
Well, the problem is you can't practice at all.
No.
And they just throw these games at you. And
I mean, you can get more comfortable knowing which buttons or which.
Yeah.
It's just a game, listener. I don't know what to tell you. It's just different mini games.
Where you're in there with 30 people and
hard.
everyone is a pigeon. And everyone's real.
We're all shit.
It's also harder as people in their mid-40s.
Yeah.
Because it's harder to see.
I can't fucking
and harder
see.
to hear.
I didn't have my glasses on.
You do have to go, like, I have to get real close to the TV when we're playing anything detailed.
Yeah.
Like we got to play a little bit of Baldur's Gate with Bill, which is, on our Discord, that's we have this community, which is great. If you're like me, you're in your middle age and it's hard to make friends. We have a great little community, and we played Baldur's Gate 3 together. The three of us yesterday, I think. Yeah, everything's a blur to me all the time, but it was awesome. I had so much fun.
And our Discord and all that stuff you can get at patreon.com/NOTLP. Yes, I like playing games with my friends. I was so grateful and honored that twice now you have braved the Arctic temperatures to leave your homes, which is a thing not a lot of people do as much.
I try never
anymore.
to, for the most part.
And you've done it twice now in 3 days.
I love you guys.
It's like 5 degrees outside.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's truly, truly awful.
It is.
Now, other people in other states where they have real winter.
Yeah.
I've had friends from Wisconsin who would just tire of me bitching about winter, but I don't care.
I'm already done.
It's cold.
Fuck it. I don't like it.
I usually wait till February to be fucking over it, but I'm over it.
Yeah.
And we've barely had any cold.
I'm always over it by now. This is it. I'm done. Dunzo. I am glad that it's staying lighter out more. Oh, we are so fucking edgy, man. We are like, what? What are they talking about, man? I don't know if I can even recommend this show to my parents, man. I don't want them to get like their minds blown apart.
I like sunshine.
It's such a controversial opinion.
Oh,
I hate the cold.
I'm sorry, everybody.
Ooh, edgelording.
Well,
I like the weather out west. We should just, guys, let's go.
No.
Amy won't go.
I want to go soupier. I mean, like
Soupier.
American Southeast.
I like the 72 most of the time. Doesn't rain a lot.
My skin needs humidity. Yeah, guys. Hey, it's winter and we don't like it. It's fine.
I
But
like it actually. I went for a nice long walk yesterday.
get the F out of here.
Ooh.
Almost froze my Dodger though.
Yeah.
Did you freeze your Dodger?
Yeah, you and Prince What's His Nuts.
No, but it was very nice to be out in nature and the brisk cold
Yeah.
while drinking brisk iced tea.
It,
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, when does it
Not an
become
ad.
dangerous? Like, what temperature are you
Now,
susceptible
today.
to
I
frostbite?
think it's pretty
moment.
dangerous right now.
Yeah, I think it is.
Single digits.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't be out walking.
Single digits.
Yeah.
It's for our health. that
But
we stay
this is
indoors.
the point. It's not the cold that gets you, it's the wind chill.
It's the humidity.
It's your Dodger.
Yeah.
It's either Yeti.
Anything else you have on the top of your head there that's eating at you?
Just a thin spot
A thin spot betwixt your skin and your brain?
in my hair, in my skin.
My skin.
Freddie and I started watching Nathan Fielder's The Curse.
The Curse, sure. Emma Stone.
Have you watched any of it
No.
yet? Andy, have you watched any
I
of it yet?
heard that it's very stressful.
Well,
No,
so
I
I
don't
didn't.
think that.
I didn't want to watch it because his shit like makes me want to crawl up my own butthole.
Like,
in a good way.
I can't watch cringe even though it's
Yeah,
set up.
it's not even.
It's all actors.
This is not even as cringy as the rehearsal. Really made me want to pull all my skin off. But this isn't
Yeah.
cringy. But what I don't. We're not done with it yet. We got like what, 2 episodes maybe.
I think a couple left, yeah.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know where it's going, and that's the part that's really getting to me.
It's just taking a while to get there.
I'm just not sure what I'm in for still.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like being in that position for too long. And this is like I'm 5 or 6 episodes in, and I'm like, what is
5
what
or
is
6?
this?
That's pretty deep to not know where you're going.
What is happening here? Anyway, it's just been making me feel uncomfortable, but that's my television recommendation.
How many
right now.
episodes are there?
I don't know.
I think there's probably 8 or something.
That's what I'm assuming.
Oh, it's so immersive in a really nice way. It's actually, to me, I had read all that stuff where people were like, "Oh my god, this makes me so uncomfortable." If this makes you uncomfortable, that's for a reason. You need to dig down and figure out why it's making you uncomfortable and think about it. It didn't make me uncomfortable. It made me laugh a lot, and it addresses a lot of like horrible shit about like gentrification and
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
colonialism and all that stuff, but it doesn't in a really funny, like over the top, like super dark humor way where it goes a little too far, like the way you do when you're joking with your friends about stuff and you want to be hyperbolic and you go that far
Hyperbolic.
and you're like, oh, we're so funny and nobody ever really does it on TV. They
You
never
mean the way
do
we
it.
used to be on the show?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, but it's grounded in a reality where it's not like the hyperbole comes out of the absurdity of the neuroses of the main characters. They are, if you could get out of dealing with everything in your life that made you uncomfortable, what would that look like to the outside world? Who would you be? Somebody who isolates themselves from taking any responsibility from any of your actions. Like, and you are imagine that your coworker or your, it's that thing. And that might make you uncomfortable. For me, I told Amy, I said, there's things about this character that I'm seeing things I don't like about myself in Nathan Fielder's character.
Well, also, like, anything Nathan Fielder is in, I can't trust.
No.
Right.
So, like, I can't see that it's this show, I'm sure, is very...
He's not playing himself though.
No, he's
Yeah,
different.
but, like,
He's a character.
his delivery in anything, it's so, like, dry and...
Yeah.
Emotionless.
He's doing something
So,
different here. It's very weird. Man.
So I can't see anything that he's in as grounded and take
Yeah.
it seriously.
Well, that'll
would
help
be-
you with the comfort level because I think the squirminess is less because we've watched everything he's done.
This is why I watch old TV.
Well,
Because this new TV, it challenges me too much.
It's easy. Old TV is easy.
well, let me tell you.
It tells you when to laugh.
If you want something new to watch, I'm really digging where this Veronica Mars show is going.
Oh, I love Veronica Mars.
That was a great show.
And I hope they get a second season.
We never watched the finale that they did, the newer one.
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yeah.
Why don't I remember?
Well, anyway, this is my first run through.
And there's a movie.
I'm loving
Yeah.
it. Bop, 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 bop.
Not 6 seasons, but there is a movie.
But I'm loving it.
It's good stuff.
Nice.
I love her dad.
Yeah.
And what's his name?
Enrico
Colantoni.
Calantone.
He's so great.
He is always great.
He's so great, you guys.
So good.
Anyway, so I took a break from Newhart, watched The Curse, and I'm just in a tizzy about what is about to happen.
Don't you think too? They're using it is an A24 production, but they're also kind of parodying A24, but not by taking A24 and making it goofy, like adding goofy shit to it. Just by taking A24 and showing how silly that genre, elevated horror, has become when you pan out and kind of look at it. Like if you place it in real world where people are having real problems, they might lose their house, but the horror is based around one person's anxiety instead of real world shit. Yeah. That's the part that'll make you squirm a little bit when you start going, oh, there's things outside of me. I have to worry about everyone in my vicinity all the time.
You don't.
But it'll make you feel that way.
That seems like a you problem.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It'll see.
Some people can just turn off their minds and.
That's the power of art, though, man. You might take something different. You might not even be able to watch it, Andy. I bet you're going to be like, oh my, I can't even handle this. I got to turn it off.
Can't handle it.
It's so powerful. I can't even continue.
Well, speaking of Emma Stone, I just watched her new movie, Poor Things.
Poor
Yeah, how is it?
things.
It's interesting. But
I know the premise. It's very weird.
It's very weird.
very
and
weird.
It's not a spoiler, but I will say that she shows everything, and that's
I
kind of
heard
refreshing that A-list stars are going
Butthole too.
Not, but I mean,
I thought you meant depth
meant
of
full
range.
You see her armpit pores.
Well,
They get real
it
close.
zooms in.
there's a
intimate.
shocking scene with her in the Curse too.
You mean the sex scene?
Yeah, it was the two of them in particular together made that kind of just strangely weird.
There is male nudity.
But I like
Yeah.
the direction that movies and TV are going with A-list actors going all the way.
Yeah.
normalizing nudity.
Yes.
Could you imagine?
The same thing, like Jennifer Lawrence did that. Her
Yeah.
No Hard Feelings too.
Yeah,
And I was like, what? Her? America's Sweetheart?
More like all hard feelings.
Yeah.
But go for it.
At least it
Everybody
was
should.
on purpose this time.
You know that guy with the license plate that he wanted it to say "am hard,"
Yeah.
which was one
All
of
hard.
Ohio's rejected license plates for 2023. Am hard.
Am hard.
He doesn't need a license plate. He's just thinking about Jennifer Lawrence all the time.
Am hard.
J-Law,
Hard.
as everybody likes to call her.
Call her the J-Law.
Yeah.
I still like her. I don't know what the public
We're fine. She's
haven't checked the wind on her.
She's a huge Housewives fan.
Yeah, she seems like a fun time. She is a jokester.
She talked with you about Monica.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I'm suspicious of anyone with too many charms anymore, especially
You mean like on their shoes or on their bracelet or
right, on their
Or
bracelets.
bowl of Lucky Charms.
Or if you look in their charms and you're like, you got more marshmallows than grainy bits. Who do you
That's somebody without a plan.
Yeah.
Is anybody here?
Somebody without a plan.
It's more marshmallows than grainy bits.
Straight up just ate all the marshmallows
apparently-
out of a box.
Apparently, they
those are
just
beautiful.
sell marshmallows by themselves now.
They do.
The hard ones?
And people eat that as cereal.
Yeah. Eat
That's-
hard marshmarshmallows.
That's a little. That's
like those
that's a red flag.
They're good.
Although it's probably just as good for you as whatever the
Yeah.
other parts are.
Yeah. You ever notice that we call those marshmallows and then you
They're
have
not
them-
at all
Yeah,
marshmallows.
they're not marshmallows.
I don't know what they are.
I like the
Yeah.
way they dissolve
Yeah.
on your tongue.
Like you put a regular marshmallow in your mouth, is it dissolve immediately?
You know what they're like?
that?
They're like
No.
really old heart candies.
Yeah, or
It's like they're
chalk.
heart candies from 80 years previous, and they became Lucky Charms
the
marshmallows.
telltale heart candy.
Yeah.
I don't feel like you guys appreciate chalky candy the same way I do.
I didn't say I,
like
didn't
it.
like it. I'm just saying that's what they're like.
It's interesting that you detect criticism in neutral descriptions of products. And what does that say about
Oh, was I not detecting tune?
I like the
There was no tune?
the Gone Bad Heart candy marshmallows.
you? Gone Bad Heart candy.
Marshmallows? Couple marshmallows. Yeah.
They're lucky.
anyway. Cereal. Cereal.
Yeah, was that your point? Cereal?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who was making a point and what it was about anymore.
What a circuitous conversation we've had. How did we end up on marshmallows?
Well, we were talking about nudity, and then you were talking about how people that are too charming.
That's okay.
But you said have too many charms.
You know who has a lot of charms? Author Robert Otone.
He does.
Yeah.
Robert Otone.
Otone, whose last name I deliberately mispronounce Otone every time now, even though I know it's wrong. And I'm sorry, Robert. I can't help it. It's who I am as a person. I feel like when you get the vowel at the end of the name, you got to draw attention to it.
It's actually pronounced Smith.
Known him for years. Still will mispronounce his last name. He has a new book coming out. He's written a contract to write a slasher novel, and he asked us for our idea. But here it is. He says it has it all mapped out. It's prepared. But the one thing he's waffling on is the slasher's mask. So he's not going to go into, he says, like great detail in the novel itself, but it's important to have the image. So he thinks the Michael Myers mask is the most effective one. It's in that vein. But I agree, anything that you can imprint, like.
Are you asking us for ideas?
Yeah, he's asking us.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, I agree with him that the idea of a Michael Myers type thing where you can imprint all your fears and worries on it. Another super scary one for me would be like something like the Terror Train guy.
What was that?
That's the one with David Copperfield.
Wasn't it like Groucho or something?
He looked like Groucho kind of. Yeah, it was kind of like a Groucho, big fake nose, mustache.
Yeah.
Like sometimes more character in the face is scarier too.
But there's a
just the
tipping point
blank.
where it gets too silly.
Yeah, but have you ever tried to push past that, Andy, into even so silly that it's too silly? It's not even silly anymore. It's like 227.
Wasn't that kind of the Happy
mask.
Death Day sort of mask
Yeah.
style
Yeah, the
now,
little
where
baby.
it's like kind of silly,
The baby.
but it's scary.
But-
And then they did that in that other movie I just watched for the show.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Oh,
they-
the conference movie, right?
yeah,
And they did it in Allegoria, which is my Roulette movie.
So I think that's a new trend in slasher masks, is the kind of goofy character
The baby, in particular.
and their baby
The baby was in
or the baby.
The baby.
the baby. Maybe you need to do
Maybe
a
the
baby
baby.
mask. Oh, you could do a baby mask. Maybe you should do a baby adjacent. What a baby dinosaur mask.
There are two. That might probably
There
be
you go.
creepy. There are two for me. First, I like just a straight bag. Like with the whole, like just tied or aura.
Yeah.
Like a kind of a stockingy.
Yeah.
Something homemade that just is just
Oh, that's spooky.
very spooky, or something like that. To your point about it, I like something too where it's just like two dots and like a flat mouth.
Yeah.
You know, something very blank, but
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
Sort of like Michael Myers was.
but less even human than
Yeah.
that.
Well, don't you think like it does a lot of it? The art of masking the serial killer in these horror movies has to do with like whatever the writer, a good writer, and Robert's a good writer, this mask should say something about who the person is or isn't under it. You know, like Michael Myers is the shape, so they wanted something white and like you could imagine anybody's face over it, and it's extra creepy because it's kind of like you can't distinguish that person.
I like something innocuous that you use and you make it scary.
Or like the sack, like you were saying, the sack was good for Jason in the first movie because
Great.
he was kind of a country boy.
And the Phantom, the Sundown, the Phantom Killer, the Town That Dreaded
oh
Sundown.
yeah, Talented Sundown.
But to your point, also, not exactly innocuous, but like also a mask that you just buy, like the guy in Creep with his wolf mask. That fucking shit was very disturbing, and it was just a dime store Halloween mask. And so the Scream mask really is just a everybody, you know, that you could buy that before that movie ever even
That's
existed.
what Harry Winkler said in the movie. It's like,
Yeah,
and but
it was the same in Michael
Henry,
Myers.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Fonzie.
It is an interesting idea.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff you could do.
Yeah.
You know, it would be really cool. Somebody who just wore like a mask, like you treat your skin mask and their hair and rollers, but that's the serial killer. If you're going for something a little silly, but if you want something serious,
If you're talking about those little sheet masks that you put on, I don't think they'll stick through a lot
Like
of
those-
yeah, wouldn't
like a green face mask and rollers and
Yeah.
cucumbers on
like
their eyes.
cucumbers on their eyes.
They'll all come off.
And like you would see that like on your lawn in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and
they're
some
out
lady
there
has
in a robe.
a pink robe and a
Yeah.
rolling pin in her hand.
She was like, it's like a slasher victim
I like-
who became the slasher. She's the lady who was making the sandwich for What's his nuts in Halloween 2? Do you want mayonnaise on your sandwich, Earl? Remember her? Whatever his name was.
You could have just like a hood and just like a black mask so that you just look like a blank within the hood.
That's good too.
That's fun.
Hood's always good.
Yeah.
I don't like the movie, but I like David Cronenberg's mask in Nightbreed. Like that character. I wish that they had taken that and put it in a movie about that.
That was a good mask.
Instead of putting it in the middle of that other movie.
Yeah.
Like I wish that was a creepy character, and that whole movie should have been about that.
You know what else would be creepy? Like that kind of that idea of like a ski mask that someone wears, but with the button eye like he has, but also rabbit ears, kind of like Louise has on Bob's Burgers, but scary.
There are like Bunny Man ones.
Yeah.
There's some Bunny Man movies.
Yeah, that could be spooky.
They're I think they're pretty fucked up.
Yeah. I think anything based on like masks that notoriously scary people wore,
Yeah.
as long as you're not being like offensive to a culture. Or
Don't be offensive. Come on.
You know,
Come on.
Come on already.
Jesus.
I would say the only no for me, no plague masks. That'd be it.
Because he's just tired of it.
I'm just tired of plague
we just
masks.
went through a plague. I don't need to
Plus,
see it.
it mixes the meaning of the story.
Well,
now.
also it's prohibitive to the killer too.
Yeah.
yeah,
It would just
that's
get caught in something or knocked off real easy.
Yeah.
But you could have lines like, "I see you're nosing your way into another murder."
Oh my.
A McGruff the crime dog killer.
All right.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Yep.
Hello, boys and girls. It's time for straight to video Russian roulette.
Oh, I forgot to welcome Night Owl on the Moon back to Patreon.
Welcome back.
Hey.
Welcome back. So I had the roulette this week, and it's called Allegoria. It's by Spider One. Spider One. Remember him?
He's Spider One.
He also did Bury the Bride.
That was awful.
Spider-Roni.
I have mixed feelings about this
Spider-Roni,
movie.
that's right. Oh, Amy, you get the gold star for today, because from here on out, that poor man is Spider-Roni.
Spider-Roni.
You're welcome, everyone, on behalf of Amy.
You should tag him in all your socials. It's like, I got a new nickname for you.
Spider-Roni.
Go tip her on OnlyFans, listeners. That was a
Yes,
great
please
joke.
do.
Can we call that back to Robert and be like, Robert, you see how much cooler Spider-Roni sounds than
Yeah.
Spider-Rone? All right, Allegoria.
Get over it.
Sounds like a food, Spider-Roni.
Yeah.
Is it because it sounds like rice-a-roni?
It's not
Yeah.
appealing.
yeah,
think
it's
so.
like
And
something they
pepperoni.
eat in
Yeah.
Australia because they got a lot of spiders.
And slices of Roni.
It's like beefaroni, but with spider.
You can add Roni to anything and make it a food. Kelly Roni.
That's right.
I'm gonna try to keep it brief, but also here's the gist of this. I don't necessarily recommend this movie to the general audience. There are two really good shorts in it's only like an hour and 8 minutes long, I think, and it's 5 stories. So
Short. Sweet.
there should be no filler.
Right.
If you're making something that's that brief, and I don't think the creators intended the first 3 stories to function as filter, but like
Filler?
Filler. What you get,
Phyllis Diller.
you Phyllis Diller.
Filler Diller.
They kind of become filler through especially the difference between what the competency level of the cast in the early segments versus the last 2. It's stark. It's striking, the difference in skill. Just in general, but this is all the same filmmaker, so it is kind of strange that there's that much
a filmmaker does 5 shorts in this.
Yeah, I think he did all 5. I think he was listed as the writer and director.
That's kind of interesting for an anthology movie.
And they're all connected because everyone knows someone from someone else's story in it.
Gotcha.
There's one degree of connection minimum between everyone.
Is there like a narrator type, like a wraparound thing?
No, in lieu of a wraparound, this is the same thing that they did with Trick or Treat, where it's like the other school of anthology filmmaking is no wraparound. However,
Interconnected stories in the same
interconnected
place.
stories.
Yeah, there's a through line.
There's a through line, but you do hint at story 5 in Act 1.
Right.
You have to establish, like, that's become like a new
They're
format of
happening
anthology.
contemporaneously.
Right.
How'd I do?
That's it.
Okay.
That's exactly right. Or within years of each other, but it's all within, enough time that one story can affect the other. And the beginning of the movie is also kind of the end of the movie. So,
all right, that doesn't.
Beginning.
I can't.
The
wrap my head around
storyline that you're in, you start in story. I'm going to say story A, which is I just kind of refer to it as the actor story. I don't know if he titled them or not. I couldn't find anything about that. But this opens with a quote from Van Gogh. He said, "The sadness will last forever." Those were his last words, right? Which is a bummer. And you're like, okay, so what's he trying to tell me? He's quoting Van Gogh on his deathbed, an artist who was so disconnected from what was really happening in the real world that he cut off his own ear because he thought it could help his housekeeper or this woman he was in love with. I can't remember the whole story.
I think it was a woman he was in love with.
Yeah.
Well, that's the accepted apocrypha, but what's the truth?
Right.
Well, I don't know what the truth is. Yeah.
What's the truth? Let's call Adam from Adam Ruins Everything.
I bet he'll know.
handle the truth.
So to me, that's like a
It's so weird you said that because I was just talking about both Freddy's turn in that play and that movie to Alise just yesterday or maybe even today.
There's a few good men in this
There's
room
a
right
lot
now.
of there's so many weird connections.
A few good fellas right here.
Aaron
you.
Oh,
Sorkin.
Goodfellas.
I can handle that.
Ah, good
A
fellas.
few good men and Goodfellas.
Freddie, we're vamping for you.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I was just waiting for my moment.
To shine.
I'm gonna come out swinging. So this, is speaking to the idea that you're dealing with people who are. You think maybe you're going to be dealing with how art can drive people crazy. Okay, I get it. All right, that's a good theme. I understand it. You said when you chose this for Roulette that you thought maybe we would relate to it.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes in where I say I don't recommend this to everyone, but if you are in a creative field where the final arbiter of whether what you've done is of quality or not is just you'll recognize what that does to your brain. Like he's doing that. He's saying like, it's short, other artists will watch this and be like, oh, I see what you're saying. This is about like that moment where you're like, what am I doing with my life moment? And you're seeing it happen in all these stories. And he's using horror to kind of put a button on those. But the problem is it's not going any deeper than that. It's just like, okay, in the actor one, and I'm gonna be spoilery because I want to talk about the details of these.
You're going to talk about all 5?
No.
Okay.
But I might touch on all 5 real quick. So the first one is there's this teacher who reminds me a lot of Gunnar Hansen. He's way aggressive and his methods are kind of like
Not my tempo.
like bullying his students. And he's staring in the mirror in the dressing room and he's saying, you are a king, you're a king at the beginning, he's psyching himself up. He goes out to do this class and one of his students turns into a demon. As part of, he's telling her, I want you to show me real darkness. And then she looks up and she's a demon. You get back to that.
She's a demon.
At the, that's the story, the A story that you get back to at the end. But, it reminded me of I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, where she has PMS and they do the Exorcist style makeup. The makeup was kind of like that moment of looking up and she's possessed, and that was fun. But then you get to the painter segment. This guy was just an awful dude, and he's talking on the phone to who it turns out is the girl in the first segment who turns into the demon. So that's the first connection. In case anybody watched this and was confused later, I could see I've seen this twice now because I'd actually watched it before and forgotten about it. But a second viewing kind of helps with some of these things. These are just very verbally abusive kind of character, and I was thinking this is Rob Zombie's brother who wrote this, and he writes characters like that a lot too.
Spider-Oni.
Yeah, so I wonder,
Barry the Brad was real mean and just shouty.
was it because I feel like
And it was like the character was that all the characters were that they were mean and shouty.
yeah, but this in the beginning I was worried, even though I had, like I said, I'd watched this before. I think the reason I didn't remember it is tonally the characters you're given further into the movie, you start seeing better kind of characters that don't fit in with this like just mean for mean's sake kind of type of character. But it made me wonder about the two of them, like what their upbringing must have been like if this is what they think everybody talks like. But these people are just wantonly cruel to each other. So anyways, there's kind of a moment where I guess something he's painting, kind of turns up in his apartment, but there's like kind of this almost, I like this part. There's like this kind of goopy, sloughing, black fleshed kind of demoness looking character. It kind of looks like the thing from Insidious that was in the background, but just imagine that, like the makeup being almost entirely black, like big wide blue eyes.
5 episodes of Monsters, the series.
It is very similar to that or Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah.
But if you could take them and if they took themselves like super seriously, which is not necessarily a bad thing. So you have this theme of imposter syndrome kind of happening. You start to pick up on that when you get to the writer who's writing a screenplay. I think it's important it's a screenplay and not a book because it really does. It comes into play in the last segment. His writing does, but he confronts a fictional character from his movie and and it's about how he's not a good writer. It's always that. And then you get one. This is my favorite one is the one about the sculptor, which is the one with Scout Taylor Compton and Adam Bush, who played Warren on Buffy.
Sculptor Taylor Compton.
This one had much more grounded performances and more realistic dialogue. I don't know how much of that was probably from the cast members actually redirecting the scene, because like I said, it's like a shift, like you were describing Bury the Bride, Andy. I feel like that movie is probably that way all the way through, right?
Mm-hmm. It was exhausting.
Yeah, this one you feel like you come up for air with this one. Because you have been subjected to a couple of pretty rough segments.
So there's like at least tonal shifts, right? Because that was the problem with his other movie. It was in your face all the time.
Yeah, it's still in your face all the time, and it's hard to call it even. There is a slightly different tone and perspective because when you get to the sculptor story, it's like a date, and it's Taylor, Scout Taylor. We're gonna call her STC and AB on a date. And they're at his place, and she is talking to him about art and actually makes a really great metaphor out of his coffee table, explaining what art is versus function and all that. And I'm like, wow, that was really succinctly put and kind of beautiful. And then she starts showing him Polaroids of her art, and he's going through them, and they're kind of just like these grainy, blurry Polaroids, and it's set in contemporary times. So you're like, why is she using Polaroids for this? She goes, that's how I show my art. And he gets to one, and it's just a head of a guy. And she, she's been telling him she's a sculptor, and he's like, he just stops, and his reaction. This is like a great moment of acting in it. You can tell he is like, kind of aghast at the picture, and he's like, he didn't know what to do with it. And he's trying to navigate this conversation with her on this date, so he doesn't want to maybe push her away, but he's like, this is just too real, and it's really spooky. And of course that one, she comes back and the sculptures are all the guys she's dated. Like she's turned them into sculptures. So if you like where I'm going with this,
what you did there.
Yeah, that one I really liked.
Very EC Comics.
Yes, very. And like that's the other thing is like the visuals in this. I really do visually. It's the same thing I say about Rob Zombie's stuff all the time too. So maybe it's in the genes, but visually, there was a lot of good moments.
Wranglers?
Tight jeans, Rob Zombie's jeans. Sorry.
And then you get
RZ jeans.
RZ jeans.
And I'm gonna go into accelerated mode because I know Andy's getting nervous over there, running over. The Big Baby. They're watching this movie called Big Baby. That's the thing with the baby mask I was talking about. In the sketch with the actor character who you saw in the beginning, who is hanging out with her friend who's in a punk band. And that's used as a segue. She's the one who the guy calls on the phone, the girl, the roommate who's here. Like, so that's the connection. Everything, like I'm saying, these connections are very haphazard, and they make a comment about him having dated the sculptor from the other story. The guy, the painter from the beginning. See how convoluted that sounds? Anyways, they have this, this one is a lot of the band kind of hanging out, and one of the guys in the band, and this is the pretentious stuff that anybody in a band has either done themselves or is real familiar with, where they're like, somebody's having that high epiphany of that music is magical.
Yeah.
But it's also math, and they're working it out and talking to basically 4 bandmates who have kind of already had this experience that are rolling their eyes at him.
It's like that meme of that lady with the she looks confused and the math symbols are like floating throughout.
It's more like, it's more like when I come across like a show that everybody else has loved for 20 years, and then I'm like, oh my God, you got to check out this show. Like, You go into a room full of musicians, you're like, did you know that they're like, you can break music down into the Western music is 12 basic intervals.
Yeah, you don't ever want to do that. In case you're ever wondering, and you're starting to hang out with musicians,
they already know all that.
don't do that. And if they don't want to.
Right. Now, if you're like hanging out with people who don't know a lot about music, that shit is deep. The first time you learn it, it's incredibly deep. And then I also I ruminate on that shit hard and think about it. And I'm like, is there magic in this? So this kid proposes that there are 7 notes maybe, that if you played them in a certain sequence, it would summon evil.
Very Lovecrafty.
Yeah, which I thought about. And, there's so many combinations of 6 numbers, essentially. If you took 6 numbers, like how many different combinations? What are the odds that there's one? And also, does the rhythm matter? I was thinking, like, does it matter if it's written 4/4 time or
It's going to get you.
time or what it is?
I'd say that, the rhythm.
Yeah, it's going to get you.
You have to write it in 666 time.
But the guy...
Amy's on fire
Exactly
today.
right.
Zow.
Put her out.
But the guy transcribes what he says or the notes, and then she ends up with him, the girl who lives with the actress, the one who is the singer in the band.
None of us are tracking that. Doesn't matter. Keep going.
That's right. Well, she comes back to their apartment, and she starts figuring it out on the piano and playing those notes over and over again.
And then she poops.
And then she poops. Andy called
Brown
it.
note.
They talked about the brown note in this, too, before they talked about the evil.
I mean, shitting yourself
Scale.
is pretty evil. So
It's pretty evil. But her roommate, who's sleeping in the other room because she has the big acting class the next
Chaotic
day,
neutral.
hears the tone, and she gets Evil Dead style possessed by a demon. And then she has this incredibly awesome dialogue with the roommate. This is, again, why I kind of recommend this movie, is the moments in it are really good. She has at her bedroom door with her roommate, the musician who has just played this stuff on the piano. They're just kind of hanging out because she heard a lot of noise from her bedroom, and she goes to see what's up. And they're just talking in the doorway. And the actress says, "You want to hear the monologue I'm doing tomorrow?" And she does this really incredibly spooky monologue and delivers it straight into camera. And
Is it Scout
super
that's doing
magnetic.
it?
No, it's Chrissy whatever.
Oh,
her
we
name
moved
is.
on to a different story. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's not the sculptor anymore. I was trying to go fast because there's so much. Because I know you were worried when I said there was 5 stories. They're not really stories as much as they are vignettes. So like they're really, she's possessed at this point in the doorway and talking about the woman who Van Gogh sent the ear to. That's what the kind of the theme of the poem she's talking about.
Is she possessed? But is she also like demony, like makeup wise?
Not at this point. She was until she's talking to her roommate at the threshold of her bedroom door, so the backdrop is just her dark bedroom. Her roommate, who's playing uncomfortable really, really well, like she is legitimately scared of her now. So that moment's really good. It's worth watching just for those little moments, even though like there's no real plot. It's really just kind of a statement. And then it comes full circle back to the next day where she goes to her acting class, and that's the scene you got in the beginning. But it is an art film. It's not there just for entertainment. But the fault in the movie is that it only goes as far as entertainment and doesn't dig any deeper than that. Even though it starts as an art film, and you're like, are you going to explore these things super deep? Because it feels like you're going to.
That does sound like a zombie movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Spider-Roni zombie.
Even though like Rob Zombie's Halloween movies are considered awful, like there are parts of it that I find
Moments.
good.
Well, I go back to them and I like them more every time.
Like visually, they're great, I think, but
Yeah.
in terms of story,
The first time I saw him.
is awful.
yeah.
I like his other movies.
Yeah,
I like 3 of his movies.
Yeah.
Lords of Salem is like one of the best horror
I
movies.
Yeah, I
love
like
Lords of
that.
Salem.
It's a good movie.
So this one, on a second viewing, I didn't like it as much. I liked it more the first time I saw it, but I didn't make a big turn against it. I would still say if you're into a lot of metaphor and some spooky
on the
effects, I would recommend it in that case. Otherwise, most people are not going to like this.
I don't like it.
That old man didn't like it.
I don't like
All right, Freddie. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
You're welcome.
Review. Are you ready to hear what the movie is for next week? I'm going to need you
I'm
to
ready
acknowledge me
to say
when I
yes.
ask you a question.
I'm ready to
What if we
hear
never
about it.
acknowledge you?
Or I'll
We'll
kill
be
you.
recording for the rest of our lives.
We just
Yeah.
got to stay.
We all
Seriously.
just turn our backs.
Forever.
Somebody check the Bills Steelers game score. Thank you. The movie for next week is called The Passenger. It's on Shudder. A group of strangers sharing a ride have their trip interrupted when the driver hits a woman hiking in the dark of night.
Oops.
They decide to help her, but quickly learn that something is wrong and that
Woman
they
hiking
shouldn't
in the
have let
dark
her
of
in at all.
To interrupt real quick, all the players froze to death.
Oh,
Well,
there it is.
that does make sense. Thank you.
21-10.
And that puts the
Noise.
Bengals right back in, baby.
Bengals are in because they gotta have a team
Because they're
to go. If all the other players in the league freeze to death, then the Bengals are in.
Yeah.
I'm so dumb that I thought you were serious for just a millisecond.
Oh, no.
I'm
sorry. I didn't mean to get your hopes up.
It was very brief.
After everyone
So they
froze
got
to
an
death.
emergency call. The Bengals like, suit up, guys.
All right, let's just gonna
God, I
watch.
would
Let's
love
see.
Yeah.
We got some dead Bills and Steelers.
Oh my God.
Well, in the
Don't
joke.
blame me. Blame the weather.
Only half of that's a problem. Andy.
What was the movie again? I was too busy riffing.
Called The Passenger. I'll text it to you.
The Passenger. Can I just change it to Destroy Our Neighbors instead?
You wish.
I'm going to do that instead.
That does look like fun.
It looks fun.
I watch what I want.
It looks a little bit like he's going back to that whole freaked
Oh yeah,
style. Freaked.
that'd be cool.
Freaked, you say?
Freaked.
Are you ready to move on? We'll be right back after this moment.
Turn out lights, it's the main attraction.
This week's main attraction is my pick, Major League from 1988. I like it because I like underdog stories. But I feel like I've talked a lot, so I'm going to pass the baton.
First of all, it's still like, oh, they're the Guardians now, the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah.
I had no idea they changed their name, too.
Just
Well, I don't follow
2021.
baseball, so.
I don't either, but I knew that happened. So just a movie just filled with every reason why they changed the name.
Yeah.
But I mean, I say this as a white person. It seemed sweet, but also you don't need to be doing that stuff. Bob Uecker, stop talking about the powwows and the whatnots.
Oh. Well, that was back in the day. I mean, that was just normal then.
No, I know.
Yeah, it's a problem now. I think everybody gets
Yeah.
that.
Are you listening, Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah.
Change your fucking name.
They know they're at this point. Someone like the Chiefs, they're just willfully doing it. Like
Yeah.
I think the Cleveland Indians, it was yeah, like you're saying, it was from a more genuine place. But regardless, using human beings as mascots might be a bad thing.
Is anybody else doing that? 49ers,
I mean,
but they're all dead.
Well, I
That's a
think
profession.
I mean, it's like a race. I think
Yeah.
is what Freddie
Yeah.
means. Like
that's what I mean.
issue.
A people,
Anybody can
yeah.
be
not
a
like
49er.
Vikings or 40, but like, you know,
Yeah.
and it's always and often been, you know, the art that's used to portray them is
Not pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
is
it's like
racially
the
insensitive.
problem is
at
like doing
best.
the battle cries and the axe chops
yeah.
and everything. That's when it gets kind of iffy territory.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the iffy territory is when they literally took an Indian who they were like, maybe this is Chief Wahoo,
And making
named him
a-
Chief Wahoo, and put
the-
him on hats.
And the features are so exaggerated and
And it's that
Crazy.
old style of sort of, you know, race art. It's
Yeah.
like it's not a lot different from what they used to do, you know, with black people.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the Sambo stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's that version. It's the red-faced version
Exactly.
of Sambo stuff. I've heard it called
It's sort
exactly
of shocking
that.
when you see it.
Yeah.
In fact, they were just talking. I didn't read it, but there's an arson tonight. We have a famous old sign here. That's the big Indian sign at Paddock, where Paddock meets Vine. It's
a tire
Alfred
place,
Motors.
right? Alfred Motors.
Alfred Motors.
Yeah.
And they were like people were talking about having it taken down, and of course they were like, take it down.
yeah, just think of like
Take
Peter,
that fucking thing down.
Like-
It's a sign
Um,
for like a fucking car lot, right?
It's just old.
Yeah, take a picture of it if you want, and
It's-
then maybe take it down.
it's like the Native Americans and Peter Pan. That type of
Yeah.
cartoon
Yeah.
stuff.
So you know,
I mean-
you've been warned that if you watch Major League, you're gonna
Oh.
see Chief Wahoo.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of that
And-
stuff. And
and
you're going to
just-
have to
yeah.
like just like look at Cleveland too and it's like ugh.
It's so ugly.
I don't identify as this coming from the same state as Cleveland.
I have no problem with Cleveland at all.
Cleveland's fine.
I don't
I'm not a
understand
fan.
it.
They have a cool serial killer story, so it's like
Yeah, torso.
yeah, the
Torso
killer.
killings and
I feel
Robert
like-
Stack.
Everybody's got a torso killer.
Not as interesting as this one. You know that Elliot Ness like had him burn down the tent city just to smoke out the torso killer in Cleveland?
No.
It's fucking wild. They had all these homeless people living there. He's like, well, he's got to probably live in one of these. Burn it all down.
It's bad stuff.
Fucking crazy.
So Cleveland, you live in cursed ground. But I always feel like they got, certainly in the 80s and 90s, I feel like Cleveland got a lot of play.
In terms of,
Just like
Howard the
being part
Duck.
of pop culture.
well, it's ever since the the Lake Conroe fire.
Yeah.
They were just.
It has character,
They've been
like-
considered like a trash town.
yeah. Don't you think writers are kind of drawn to places like that? If you want to write a song about,
It's urban.
you could set it in New York.
Carl Urban.
Same thing. I mean, it's the same thing with Detroit too. Like,
Yeah.
it's like where they used to have industry and everything left.
Yeah.
and left it
Yeah.
as a ghost town.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a working class city, and they don't have resources like New York. So they talk about, who wants to watch a movie about the Mets winning every game,
Well,
you know?
I found
Mets
this
fans?
it's very relatable being
Yeah.
Yeah.
from a city where it had very little success in terms of sports for a long while.
Yeah.
So seeing them at the end celebrate and win, it felt very
Yeah.
heartwarming, and it
Yeah.
shows you the power of sports movies.
Well, as a Bengals fan, having gone through that 2021 season or whenever that was, is that right? That just improbable, like, what the fuck is even happening?
Yeah.
We are not used to this feeling. It's so much joy and it bubbles up like inside of you. I don't care if you don't like it and you call it sports ball and you say, I don't watch that stuff. I don't care. Like when it's your team and you do have a team asshole. You just do. It's where you live. And when that happens, it gets into your like soul.
If you let it.
If you let that joy come in,
It's kind of sweet. But
it feels really good.
well, I like they kind of captured the community element in this too, like where it felt like a Disney movie in a lot of ways, where it's a lot of the beginning is exterior shots of the city and regular people working in the city. You don't even meet anybody who's part of the ball club until you're into the movie.
Not to mention Randy Newman.
Playing Burn, Burn, the song you wrote about Cleveland. Burn.
It couldn't be more,
Complimentary.
Disney opening, 80s movie opening.
Yeah, it's
Come
pretty-
down, Cleveland. It smells like fire and burning tires.
So it feels
You
it's
know,
like very
like-
fairy tale.
I don't disagree.
Like-
What?
I was just gonna say I like that shot of there's the kids playing baseball on the street before you ever see the pro team or anything.
I did a little bit of Wikipediaing because
Yeah.
I wanted to know when they changed their names to the Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
The Guardians were once, they started life as like a minor league team, and I forget what they were called, but it doesn't matter because at one point the club moved to Grand Rapids and became the Grand Rapids Furniture Makers.
That was the name of the team.
That was the name of the team.
Yeah. What do you
Why
think
didn't they pick
yeah.
something cool? Like Cleveland, even if like you could pick a fish, be a sturgeon. That's a cool fish.
Well, if you make furniture, we apologize.
Well, isn't the name of the
You think someone out there was like,
isn't the name of the team from Kentucky
they
called
say?
the Florentials?
Yes, and I think that's adorable.
I love the
That's
Florentials.
well, that fits more than furniture makers because
Yeah.
furniture makers aren't tied to maybe Grand Rapids did
That's
have
a very
burgeoning,
specific.
furniture
it's just
business.
like it's too specific.
the Pueblo, Colorado catalogists.
Yeah.
You could be like the Grand Rapids
Rapids,
artisans.
the river or something.
Sure,
That's where
artisans.
rapids
the
are.
woodsmans,
The craftsman,
craftsmen, and that could encompass a lot of things.
craftspeople. If you want to be like,
back then they wouldn't have,
but
because they were talking about some team they played, or somebody played for the Toledo Mud Hens in this movie. They talked about that, which I thought was adorable.
And that was like their minor league
One of those,
they were talking about, right?
those
So,
AAA farm teams. What are they called?
yeah, farm team.
So the setup is the owner dies. Donald Phelps, a fictional character, his widow, Rachel Phelps, who Margaret Whitten, who died really young too from cancer, but
She's great.
She is really good in this. She was also in like an episode of Tales from the Dark Side, I think. I think it's one of the weirdly sexual ones they did.
And that's why you remember it.
She takes over. It was more awkward than sexy. It was kind of weird. You know, it was made for late night broadcast TV.
Yeah.
Her team manager, she has hired a new team manager played by Charles Cyphers, who I have blasted ass in front of in the men's room at We're On Weekend, Tri-State Connection. We had a good tearful laugh. I tell every time he comes
Blasted
up.
ass.
But he's really fun as the general manager, and she's like, this scene is like almost like out of the producers, but this did happen in real life, like in 1970, where someone tried to tank a major league team.
Listen, I believe it's happening all the time. They were just starting to talk about it in the NFL, and they clamped down on that real hard.
Yeah, so the
over
idea,
the last year or two.
She doesn't want to stay in Cleveland. She hates Cleveland as much as you guys do.
They tank because they want
They want them draft picks.
They want the draft picks.
She wants to move to Miami.
You want to get out of a contract, I believe this shit happens all the time.
Yeah, she wants to keep owning the team, but she wants to move.
She really wants to move to Miami. Yeah, totally. I mean, she's a Miami personality. She's not a Cleveland personality.
Well, here's the thing. Nothing's stopping you from moving to Miami, lady.
Right. She would have to. She
can't get out of the contract.
You still have a team. You're still a multi-millionaire.
You
can live wherever.
You don't have to stay here and do anything with this team.
Yeah, she's not Mars shot.
It's status though. I think this is before Miami had a pro team, and I think she has ambition beyond money. The character does. Huh?
Oh, who plays for Miami? What is Miami?
The Fishies?
The Marlins.
Right? That's right.
Yeah.
I know so little about baseball. It's very funny.
I don't know if they still are. I don't keep up with baseball anymore at all. But
here's the magic of this movie. It made baseball exciting.
So exciting.
And normally baseball.
I know Kelley doesn't think so, but
well, it's not. The baseball was fine. I just recently. I did not. I'm sorry to say that I'm the fifth dentist. I guess this time. I wanted to, because as a kid I thought I really liked this movie, but as it turns out I really just liked Charlie Sheen. And the coach.
Yeah. Oh my God, Lou.
He's so adorable.
Ron Goldbeard.
He looks like if an old cartoon dog came to life and became human.
Yeah. And Wesley Snipes. So as a kid, I thought they were fun. And watching this, and Alise and I had the same. I don't mean to throw her on and pull her under my bus with me, but we had the same. We had the same exact experience because we both were like, well, "This movie was great, so excited to rewatch it," and we were like, "What?"
So, what was it? Something it didn't? Did it bore you, or did it offend you?
Nothing offends me. It did bore me, and I definitely saw. This is what I was getting to, but I wanted to say quickly, like, we just recently rewatched Bull Durham, which was always my baseball movie, more than this one, but it also makes baseball exciting, and it's also really funny. I like it much better than this movie. But that is neither here nor there. We're not talking about Bull Durham. Maybe I'll make us all watch that next year. But I did not like, first of all, I felt like all the jokes, I felt like everything was mostly based around them making faces and just sort of moving weirdly.
That's what I liked about it. I didn't love this movie. It was fun, but I liked it a lot more as a kid, but it's just so simple.
It's so simple, and one might call it lazy.
Yeah, it's like very sitcom-y. I feel like it played to the same audience as like Home Improvement fans. Just very basic.
I actually appreciated how kind of basic it was, though.
I also enjoy that sometimes. I like it.
Very, I don't know how to say this, but for incels and like
misogynists,
MAGAs.
Well, those are the people.
Well, these are toxic men.
It's a different
that are written in the era of toxic masculinity's formation, or actually, this is, in a lot of ways, what you're seeing here. Whenever you have these kind of characters, you have a writer doing their best with stereotypes of the time.
Yeah,
and the stereotype of a professional athlete is that they have a very low opinion of women. That's just was accepted. They're like, they think that men are better than women. This was just that men are more important than women. There's a reason that
I don't think that much has changed, league. Actually.
Right. But they're better at faking it now.
I did have this conversation actually today too after watching this, which was the the stuff you're talking about, this is sort of what normalized that for like a bunch of dudes who grew up thinking that like, because this is what I texted the group earlier, that Tom Berenger's character is a stalker of like intense proportions. And then
it's not okay.
And that was before the library. I was like, this motherfucker is going to murder this woman.
That was before you found out he cheated on her a ton and probably gave her gonorrhea.
And humiliated her many times.
And humiliated her.
But we're but genuinely they want him to be your hero. And I feel like they were too lazy.
I think the thing that gets missed.
He showed up for all the men.
He showed up for all the men
in his life, but now he's got to show up for her a little bit too.
He's like the bros before hoes.
I would never have taken him back.
Like the actual physical embodiment of bros before hoes, but with all the toxicity that comes along with that idea.
And and here's the thing, and I'm not one of these people usually who I can totally put myself in the mindset of the era in a lot of cases. You know what I mean? This was one of those, I barely paid attention. This guy was not in my periphery when I watched this as a kid. Like I watched probably 6 or 7 times, and he was like the grown up in the movie. I was like,
he was boring.
Whatever. But I probably, if I caught on, like it's so egregious to me, and there's just nothing they give me to like about him. Like you can I can look at another weird obsessive person from some other 80s movie and be like, well, they're kind of funny. Or they're kind of cute. This guy they just don't.
He's too stiff.
They don't give anybody anything really for the most part.
Literally, he was icing everything all the time. He's very stiff.
Yeah.
If they made a movie with his character in it now, we would require that character to be both punished and to come out somehow a better person at the end of the movie.
That was the thing.
I mean, back then it wasn't something.
I expected at some point to deal with that like third act, somebody leaves. Or they have a huge fight and something is broken up.
Well, at the time, this wasn't a problem.
They kind of suggested it, but they didn't. There was no payoff to it because he walked in the apartment and she was gone, and that was the idea that she finally had enough, and like that was his punishment.
Like, with the team too. No. Like nobody, like there was not a huge amount of conflict.
And I think ultimately it just wasn't even thought of.
Yeah. Well, it speaks to why they were there. Like everybody who was there really wanted to be there. They were the bottom of the barrel. That was like the beginning when she's setting it up. She's like, and you can tell that Charlie is like, okay, I'm going to go recruit these guys. You want the worst players and people I can find. You want to ruin this team. You don't want it where Cleveland is like, bye, easy go. And they don't want likable players. They don't want likable people.
Right.
Like if you really buy into that moment that you're getting the bottom of the barrel
dirt bags.
That's what I said. This guy's a real dirt bag.
Yeah,
I'm like,
they've all been
dirt bags,
except for Wesley Snipes. He's the only one who's like straight laced. Serrano
he was in like a dirt bag.
I loved him. I forgot I liked the voodoo guy too.
Bag, but he also wasn't marketable to if the team they're not going to sell him like because he's into voodoo, the religion of voodoo, right? So like they were like even looking at it as a concession to even bring him on that he had religious requirement. And like, so what I'm saying is not like a criticism of anybody when I say that everyone on the team was a dirtbag except for Snipes' character.
Yeah, I wasn't saying like they were bad people.
Not
like,
bad
they're
people.
They're just kind of dirtbags.
They're like dirtbags, like weird dirtbags.
They're behind
like,
on their bills.
You're not going to go out
They're not nice to ladies.
Right. They don't get spokesman jobs. You don't hire them to sell
Some
bank.
Got guts. They burp. They fart. They're dirtbags.
Yeah, they're dirtbags.
They call their teammates savages.
Yeah.
That was like, yikes.
Yes. They're not heroic characters, but they become heroes to kids watching. That's the problem with what Kelley is recognizing, I think, with it, is like, as kids, we like Charlie Sheen's character because in hindsight, he's the least complicated character in the movie. He stole a car, went to prison.
He was cool.
He's being redeemed. He's getting a second chance, and he's cool. And also they put him in glasses,
and he can't see.
Yeah.
That's
when we were kids,
I totally related to that. I was like, that's why I can't be an athlete.
Yeah. Did you ever see the movie with the helicopter pilot who had the same problem? He couldn't see. He had like a dead eye, and he had to wear like the eye patch and stuff. I think Nicolas Cage might have been in it, but it's that same thing. There was kids with glasses at this time too. That was just a reason to get bullied at school.
Yeah.
This is like a fucking R-rated kids movie.
It's not for kids.
It is a cartoon. Like it's such a weird. what's funny too
easy,
is
though.
I remembered it being even cartoonier than it was. I think that was a stumbling block for me too. Like, it's cartoony, but it's like a level of cartoony that's like not quite cartoony enough.
I think it's because I used to watch this and Naked Gun a lot together.
Yeah, same.
And that's what I kind of thought, the same reason.
Enrico Palazzo.
Exactly that. And who's the Nate? What's his name?
Nate.
Anyway, him eating all the food.
Oh, yeah.
That guy. I thought it was more cartoony because I was thinking of Naked Gun instead.
Yeah, I think this movie bleeds with a lot of its own sequel.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
This was the first time I ever saw it, so I'm coming at it fresh and so clean. After sniffing some coffee beans,
Yeah. Ooh.
and I watched it while I was working today.
Yeah.
I guess I thought it was bigger and badder than it was, and anytime I had ever heard or understood anything about Major League in my life, Tom Berenger was not part of it. I didn't know he was going to be a part of this movie.
Yeah.
Or such a big part.
To me, you could totally take his whole story out.
Or Bob
it definitely would have improved the movie.
It would have made the movie more digestible for anyone with modern sensibilities, and it doesn't lose anything.
Well, you
really.
need something to appeal to the adults because you need that storyline of the romance and stuff
this
like
movie
that.
I think is firmly for adults. I don't think this movie is aimed at kids.
I was being kind of
for
facetious.
adults, but it's
I know
very
that, but
like juvenile.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's comedy.
But
though,
I enjoyed
too.
that. I liked the kind of breeziness of it.
Yeah. I thought it was
Forgot
based
what
in
I
a
was
lot of
gonna say.
realism, though. Like I hear, I know you said you remembered it being really goofy. Like I think of the movies like this as the comedy comes from like how bad the players are, but they're believably bad. I've seen real major league players make a lot of the same mistakes that they make.
Yeah.
So, but for me, like it's Eubanks or those moments where it's really one person. I mean, Bob Euchre.
Bob Eubanks.
Bob Eubanks. But when Bob
He is
Euchre...
making whoopee on the field.
That would be so good. That would be like Major League 2.
Bob Euchre and Bob Eubanks announcing together.
But when they hit the wild foul ball, or I think it was the foul ball, where Euchre's just like is a little wide on that one. It's just delivered deadpan, and just those moments to me are really
Well,
funny.
those are the best. I will agree with you. The Bob Euchre announcing, he has the best lines, and they're like throwaways.
Yeah.
They had him improvise a lot of that shit. I think
Those are pretty entertaining. I did feel like it was written to me so just lazily, just compared to other comedies at the time.
Do you like The Sting?
I don't think I've ever seen The Sting. But I was thinking of this sort of in comparison to something like, say, like The Three Amigos.
Yeah.
They're not the same movie. They're not the same kind of movie. But close-ish in time period, and just like the difference. I think this could have been a better. Like I could have enjoyed this more. I just think it was very like.
Oh, there's no edge to it at all.
And it was lowest common denominator, sort of. I think they could have elevated.
Like I said, Home Improvement.
Yeah.
Well, I put it above Home Improvement. I think
Cleveland residents.
I do like that.
I fuck with Cleveland because I love, I guess. Don't get mad at me. Is what I'm trying to say. What were you saying?
I was actually just about to say I like the idea that I think the edge comes in and the risk comes in when you just sit. When I watch it, especially this time through, it's the city of Cleveland is about to lose one of the only good things it has. Mm-hmm. So those are big stakes to me. Like as somebody who like, if you've ever lived in a place that really only has a couple of really culturally significant things.
We went through that with like the Reds and the Bengals. They've always threatened to like leave for bigger, greener pastures.
Right. So, but what I'm saying too is that's the edge for me.
That's why I could relate to this because.
Oh, what did he say last season? The Reds guy. He's like, where else are you gonna go?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But and also
you,
like
dude.
we also had like this past summer. Like a resurgence of the Reds and a
that was fun.
big uptick in interest because of Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah.
So it, like I said, like this movie is very relatable in terms of just as in terms of sports fans.
Now, I bet if you made a Major League now, right, and you made it as realistic as possible, like, I wonder what the cast would be like, what the characters
You ever
would be
watch Ted
like.
Lasso? This is Ted Lasso.
Yeah, it would have to be a different sport for one thing. I don't think.
No, I mean literally about how professional baseball players are now.
I don't think. I don't even know. I mean, other than big baseball fans, it's such a different sport now. I think, and it's seen. It's not even that the sport itself is different, but I think it's seen a lot differently. Like this, baseball fever was enormous throughout the 80s.
I feel like post
huge.
the steroids and Mark McGwire and all that shit, it
Yeah.
just kind of has been
It
on a
ruined
slide.
the romance of it.
And then the fucking
strikes and everything.
Astros,
And then now,
cheating
I mean,
and
and nobody like. There's not really very many. There's not a lot of excitement.
Well, I don't mean like whether it would work as a movie. I mean like what would this team was like middle-aged. There was like middle-aged
That's what I was
guys
saying.
in the coaching
do you
positions.
guys remember when like you'd have a bald fat football player with a big
Right.
mustache that looked like he's gonna
Yeah.
fucking mow his lawn later that day?
That was part
These
of
are
the
these
charm for
guys.
me. Yeah, like
the refrigerator Perry, baby.
Yeah.
so these guys who are good at they're not even good at
Schlubs.
baseball. They're not even good at baseball. It's about people who aren't even good at baseball
Say it again.
trying to turn whatever fucking crazy life they have around, or the one dreamer, the dreamer
Redeeming themselves.
with Willie Mays Hayes coming in. Like, so like, I think like now it would be all of the team would be guys who trained so hard from when they were 8 years old.
Yeah.
They'd all be in the same, they'd be at 0% body fat. They wouldn't have personalities at all. They would be marketable probably because they were taught to be marketable.
They'd probably all be sociopaths.
They would have all of their rough edges at least visibly
that's
rubbed away.
pessimistic. I wanted to talk about
No,
how
I'm just saying.
Neil Flynn is in this movie.
Yeah.
In those little interstitials with the fans, and there's like a guy, he's a longshoreman, he's sitting up on that beam, he's like, who are these fucking guys? And he's like, I love these fucking guys. And then he hugs the punk at the end. That's Neil Flynn, janitor from Scrubs.
Yeah.
Scrubs all the time here.
Were there like 6, maybe 8 Clevelandites or whatever they
Yeah.
call themselves? Like,
I hope that's what they call themselves.
that were the little moments throughout that kind of they marked the progress.
Clevelanders.
They were like the chorus or whatever in a Greek tragedy.
Is this the people that like in the stands in front of the TP and dressing up in full head
That's a
like
different
regalia?
set. But yeah, like all these really cool fans.
Well, I believe
love
that's
that.
the
And
tribe.
The tribe, which, again, doing horrible shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through today's eyeballs.
But with love in their hearts. Just misguided.
Yeah. Like the Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah.
If you
Corbin
need to learn
Burnson,
anyone.
who's also in The Curse.
Weird. I forgot he was in this. I forgot he was in movies ever.
Ever?
He was the dentist.
I
There's
did,
a lot of movies.
but I forgot that.
You forgot about the dentist?
You forgot about Dre?
I forgot about every other movie he's ever been in, and this one also, until I saw him in this one, and then I was like, "Oh, Corbin Burnson was in a movie."
What was the movie we just saw with the little fairy folk that he was in from like the 90s where they go to Ireland? And he's just kind of like sleepwalking through the whole fucking
it a
movie.
Riff Trax
It was a
movie?
Riff Trax.
Yeah, I
and
don't
Corbin Burnson played the dad.
Yeah.
And they're in this little Irish village and they start
That sounds
spotting like CGI fairies.
That's a great lyric to end a stanza with, and Corbin Burnson played the dad.
Played the dad.
That's good, Kelly.
Thank you.
What
could
his
build a whole
wife
song
sees
around that
him
one.
on TV sneaking off with a young hot thing. Fucking love Mrs. Dorn. She's like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. I see. And she goes out and fucks Charlie Sheen.
I like what she's like, I'm not into baseball.
Yeah.
Like she almost lets on.
She does her thing.
You kind of believe her that she doesn't know who he is at that point.
No,
But
I
she
don't.
definitely
knows
does.
exactly what she was
But what
doing.
I'm saying is she's so convincing where she's
Well,
like,
yeah.
I'm not into baseball. She's like, you're just the best looking man I've ever seen. And of
She knows
course,
what to do.
she manipulated that fucker hard.
Good for her.
It was pretty
for her.
funny.
Good for her.
Good for her.
I like
But I don't like how she was like Corbin Burnson never had his comeuppance either.
No, and in fact,
Nobody did.
he like so easily forgives Charlie Sheen. Like Charlie
Yeah.
Sheen did
Yeah.
anything wrong.
This movie is not about comeuppance.
You're right.
Yeah.
There
This
was no
is
comeuppance.
about it is what you see is what you get.
No
Well, it's
lessons are learned.
well,
It's
it's just-
about a city that wants a winning team and never had one and got one.
No,
Yep.
I get that, but like watching it as an adult,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, boys, we boys, boys.
But we insulate. It insulates the team from reality.
It's just skeezy to watch.
Yeah. It's what we do in real life, though.
Yeah.
We build this bubble around all these professional athletes where we're like, don't ask too many questions because you're going to find
That's
here's
the
some shit
problem.
you don't want to know.
I hate putting myself in that position because.
Oh my God, if
granted,
Joe Burrow
Yeah.
was like, hey guys, maybe everybody should have a gun, I would kill myself.
Because there are times when like Reds players and Bengals players have done like criminal shit, and we're like, it's okay, they're Bengals, it's fine.
You blow it off when they're winning.
Exactly.
Like everybody
Pac-Man
does it.
Jones. We were winning with
Depends on what they do for me.
Right. Yeah, but we
It's like, what did he do? Did he steal something?
It is tough. It is kind of
Yeah, that's a good point.
you look at yourself. It's the man in the mirror thing. Like it's hard to support a organization that is so corrupt and gross and looks the other way for so many things.
At least I don't have a
And-
rapist
yeah.
quarterback, Cleveland.
So it's like, why am I a fan of this organization?
It's hard to parse
Yeah.
that shit out, and like it's easier with the movie. If the movie started getting into that, like all of a sudden there was like, you violated your morality claim, Mr. Tom Berenger. Can't remember the character's name.
Dorn.
Like if he got called into
no,
the coach's
Dorn was
office.
Corbin Burnson.
Oh, Tom
we're
Berenger.
like, Renee Russo has filed a restraining order
Seriously,
against
she
you.
should have.
Yeah.
She really should have. I don't even know why she talked to him. I mean, I do because that's just how you
No,
write
it's
a movie
okay.
in the
It's
80s,
fine.
but,
All you
like,
gotta do is read Moby Dick, and all your past sins are forgiven.
Oh, he read the book I've been asking him to while he was out cheating on
I like
me.
that, but it's not her fault. It's how she's written. She's drawn that way because
Yeah.
But it's like it's almost like watching a horror movie and wanting to yell like, "Don't go down there!" When he says something to her and she says, "Well, you didn't call me." It's like not because he didn't call you. You should just be like, "No, you're a fucking asshole. I would never date you."
That would have been so refreshing. At that time, it would have blown everyone's mind.
In the fucking,
Well, it just reflects poorly on women too, like the stereotype that women are drawn to the bad boy,
Or that they
and keep
should
coming back.
They should be accepting of it. Is the scariest part.
Well, that's the thing. He's supposed. I think what bothered me is that
What they're saying.
and what took me out of it a lot is that you're supposed to root for him.
Yeah.
This is
Yes.
a character you're supposed to be rooting for. Like the movie intends you to find him a charming loser, and that she should just kind of chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
and,
forgive him. He's ready now.
and it's impossible to because they didn't give me anything. Like I wanted to want that.
How do you think a performance that had sold her attraction to him more, that was more obvious to the audience?
They should have
might
made
have
him
made that
so
No,
easier
it
to
should have
swallow.
It should have made he should have been made
more sensitive.
charming. Just anything.
But
He
it
gave
was
me
just-
nothing.
It was an odd choice to go so deep into what all the things that he did to her.
Yeah.
Well, the things he actually did, but also I think part of it too could be Tom Berenger. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, not saying
No,
he did
I'm just
anything
saying,
bad.
like,
he's not
His
a good-
performance. I don't think.
Well, for sure, he's
just-
not
yeah.
charming.
But if
Yeah.
he's your hero, why would you go that much into their backstory of all the times he cheated on her and left her alone?
Yeah.
Like you could have just suggested it, but you didn't need to go that much into it.
and to show that he didn't give he didn't even think it was a problem.
Yeah.
He's
What
like,
was
oh,
I supposed to do?
Yeah.
She said she had a better body than you. I did like that part where she was like, "Oh, bullshit."
Yeah, that was good.
But then she let me down because she was like, "I have a much better body," which I get, it's a comedy. But she should have just been like, "That's just bullshit.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
you're an idiot."
Yeah, she's
Well-
kind of placating him when she says that.
Yeah.
She's egging him on.
But I get it. It's
You have-
that's how that's written. You
Yeah.
know, this isn't a real story.
no, what I'm saying
She's
is
like
it's like that makes her culpable in the script.
Yeah,
She's egging him
exactly.
on. Yeah.
she's the like nice one. And then the other woman in the movie is the owner of the team, and she's a fucking bitch.
She's the bitch.
And everybody hates her. And as they put her head on top of a naked lady and they like slowly undress it as they win games. And that's awful. But also that was kind of funny. But the scene where she's like yelling at them, like, stop winning. And she just starts touching Wesley Snipes' hair.
Oh, she smacks
And
around
then
on the
she
ass.
walks over to Dennis Haysbert and she just gives him a whoopsh.
And then she knocks Charlie Sheen's cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they are making her terrible.
I think they did that so you would.
So cartoony.
She had to be so bad for the audience to buy into the horrible thing they were doing to her, because, like, you know what I mean. I feel like in now
She's a rich bitch. That's
was-
all we
yeah.
needed to know.
Yeah, like, well, back then that's really all we demanded.
Yeah.
Back then,
No,
we were
but-
like, what reason can I have to make them want to humiliate a woman?
And also, like, when in movies and TV, it's like when women's sexual harassment is seen as funny.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Keep your hands to yourself.
You're saying you think she showed up in a Tales from the Dark Side? Well,
Yeah.
What's his nuts was in that Tales from the Crypt with the Scarecrow, the religious dude. I can't think of that guy's name.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. He's a character actor. He's been like 100 things.
Oh, the guy who played Harris.
Harris.
I just realized today that he's not Matt Frewer.
They do kind of resemble each other, though. I think he's a lot older.
I did like the way the movie made fun of him being so Jesus-y.
Yeah.
Just knowing how like pointing at God our athletes are nowadays.
What's funny, and not to bring it back around to Bull Durham, but I only keep doing it because they came out around the same time, and they were kind of like the two baseball comedies, I feel like. And there are actually a lot of weirdly similar things in this because Timothy Robbins' pitcher in Bull Durham has trouble with his aim. Now, he's also a much better pitcher than, like, when he gets it, he gets it. But he hits like batters all the time.
They play Wooly Bully for him though. Oh. Otherwise it's the same. And then there's like he gets there's a scene where Kevin Costner gets removed from the game for arguing with an ump. There's just a lot of and there's a religious baseball player and a voodoo-y. Well, those are all supposed to be based. I think both movies kind of based players off real players.
Yeah.
So like, and you can go to IMDb and they break down who was based on who they think they were based on.
Yeah.
So I think both screenwriters probably were watching those same teams at that time, and they just like, that guy's memorable.
Well, the guy that wrote Bull Durham, it might have been a book or a series of articles, but he was a sports writer, and this was like pulled from like a bunch of his experiences.
So it's probably way more accurate than Major League. I think Major League is riddled with like all kinds of goofs and stuff that isn't even rules in baseball.
Well, that's true. But anyway, it's just funny that they have very similar things, but very different takes.
Yeah, that guy, the Harris, he kind of starts believing voodoo by the end of the movie, which is the only character who really shows any substantial growth.
He's throwing a KY ball.
Yeah, he's the grossest character in the beginning.
He's so gross.
And he's still super gross at the end, but he learned one small lesson about respecting other people's religions.
Yeah.
I liked Serrano's growth too, because he realized that Joe Boo wasn't helping him at all.
It wasn't really.
Yeah, he's like, "Fuck you, Joe Boo."
I thought that was a badass.
Yeah, that was a cool moment. Like,
He
this
did
movie isn't the sum of its parts. There were like some moments I really liked.
Yeah, no, there were
Like the end with the last game, that was a really cool thing.
really
like a stadium full of extras.
Oh, you hear Haysbert got real emotional when that happened, when they all came down, because like they were talking about how they didn't expect. They started reacting like they had really won a game. The cast said they started getting freaked out, like they were like, "This is real," like getting really excited.
Yeah, like it felt real.
Yeah,
like
it
literally,
felt real.
it's a stadium full of people, like real Clevelanders, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think part of it comes from kind of a
They
genuine
looked real.
place.
Yeah.
The writer, like,
I need to moisturize.
he said he wanted to write about the Indians winning for once. Like, that was the whole reason he wrote the movie, was he just wanted to see his team win.
And I like at the end when everybody's rushing the field, you can tell there's some people really trying to get their screen time. If you pay attention, they're like pulling faces and like not moving out of the way of the actors.
Oh yeah, but I didn't even realize that was Dennis Haysbert until
I was
this time
deep into the
watching
movie.
it. Yeah.
Because I saw his name in the credits, and it occurred to me later, I'm like, why haven't I seen him? And then I went, oh my God, Ed Serrano.
Yeah, I always thought Serrano was a guy who was really was he supposed to be from Cuba?
Yeah.
And I just always assumed that guy was Cuban, and now I'm like, that's fucking Dennis Haysbert. I love hats for bats. He wanted to keep the bats warm, and he's going to steal the little cozies from his golf clubs, and he's like, hats for bats.
Fun pick, honey, even though not everybody had the best time.
Oh, that's okay. I didn't expect. I'm actually shocked that both of you guys liked it so much.
Well, it's a lot of it has to do with nostalgia.
It's a light puff.
Because I used to watch this a lot as a kid.
See, Kelley surprises me enough now that I consider Kelley a wild card.
I'm the wild card.
You're
a
kind
wild
of a
thing.
wild card.
Your wild thing.
I usually can guess what you're going to think. I think, Andy, I'm almost always right, but there are times when this is one of the times you surprise me. But then I was like, it is a feel-good movie, and Andy likes feel-good movies.
Yeah, it's very Disney-ish.
Yeah.
And I love ragtags.
Yeah.
All right.
Although one nitpick, I don't want to keep the show going, but that when they took the sauna away and they had to make one with the outboard motor. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Super
Could have
dangerous.
shredded his fucking
Like
legs
literally
off.
his feet are inches away from where the blade is.
If that had been an Adam Sandler movie, there would have been blood. I like
and that water they were sitting in was literally brown.
I did want to also say one thing about Charlie Sheen was doing his real pitching in this, but they shot him. They moved the mound closer to the home plate and shot it from behind home plate, and they sped it up so it looked like he was throwing like 100-mile. It was like legit. This visually, it really is a 100-mile-per-hour ball, but he's throwing like an 80-mile-per-hour ball. To me, that blew my mind. They took that level of care, like to really sell just a little detail.
There's
like
actually some really good filmmaking in this.
Yeah, there's in-camera stuff. There's a lot of really good cinematography. It was fun. It's one of those things. I'm gonna have to go back and dig up some other like 80s movies I haven't watched in a long time.
Dig them up.
See how they hold up.
Dig them up. Dig them up.
Yeah, like comedies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I say that, obviously horror movies, but comedies too.
Well, for next week, I'm going to take us to the 90s.
Yeah, boy. Judgment Night.
Correct. Join me as we go back to Jeremy Piven's old hairline.
Slam.
And we're going to revisit a movie I haven't seen probably since the early 2000s. And I don't remember much about it, except I know I liked it at the time. And I thought it was like, oh, it's a little dangerous.
There is a shot of Patty's Pub if you watch closely.
Yeah. Oh, that might have been why it's been on my list for a long time. But I remember they talked about that.
That's cool.
On the Always Sunny podcast. And I was like, I felt like that was a sign that
was
I
it
should
really
pick
called
it this year.
Patty's Pub?
No.
Oh, okay. So it's just you got
the exterior.
You got to keep your eyes peeled then. Okay. I'll do it. I'll peel my eyes.
Oh, my Lord.
Not afraid.
So that'll be next week. At the end of every show, we say hi to our Beelzebubs.
Hi.
Patreon.com/NOTLP. Alise.
I'll see you very soon.
Alyssa. Branan and Emily.
Alise, Alyssa, Branan, and Emily.
Jeffel.
I
Iona Goodwin.
want a good one. You got a great one.
Dr. Brian.
Dr. Brian.
Do you want to sing it? Here, you'll start with Bill right there.
Bill.
Can you do it?
Oh, dirty bastard. Bill Farner, Frosted Blakes. Blayne Yogurt, Jordache, Jeans, Paul, Jeremy, Cassie, Gamora. Ernie, Dave, Siebert, Monica, Dustin. Beelzebub's a bubbling. To Kokomo.
Yeah, it's a Kokomo.
That's what we should. That's where we want to go.
We'll get there fast.
Yeah, we'll get there fast.
But then we'll take it slow.
We're going to get a tropical contact high.
Woo!
We'll defy some gravity.
Yeah, that's where we wanna go. Way down in Kokomo.
Man, we also got to go. Bye.
Bye. All right.
Everybody.
Bye.
Frankenstein was wondering if he should go to bed.